Welcome to week 1. jQuery is a fast, small, but feature-rich JavaScript library. It makes things from HTML, document traversal and manipulation, event handling, animation, and Ajax much simpler and easier to use through APIs. Many websites, in fact millions of websites, use jQuery today. Some of the most popular ones are listed in your week 1 lecture. jQuery.com has lots of information including CSS compliance, cross-browser functionality, and lightweight footprint information. You can download jQuery and its library, as well as API and documentation from the jQuery.com website. Some of the reasons jQuery is favorable is it's free, open source. All of its functions have cross-browser compatibility, and it lets you get more done in less time. As you can see here, a lot of the coding in using jQuery is similar to the use of HTML and CSS. Some of the code that you'll be working with in week 1 through week 8 includes some of the heading, class, and images that you see here relative to CSS. In week 1, we'll be covering an email list assignment, and a lot of the coding here you see as part of events and functions, including attributes, will also be included. FAQ application for the jQuery user interface is seen here. Notice the coding for the HTML user interface on the right. Some of the functionalities, terms that you'll become familiar with, if not already, are jQuery, the user interface, and the plugin. From jQuery.com, when you go to downloads, you'll see the links here for the compressed and uncompressed production jQuery 1.11.2, and you can download the upgrade guide as well as the release notes to get more information on the current version of jQuery and its library function as it relates to JavaScript. jQuery is versatile, again, with the cross-browser functionality. It's supported across Chrome, Firefox, but older versions of IE are no longer supported. Some of the coding for use of the content delivery network can be seen here from code.jquery.com. Notice that everything we relate to in using jQuery will end with a JavaScript or .js file extension. To use a jQuery selector, use the $sign with parentheses and then end quote selector. Some of the typical selected elements that we can use, as seen here in this code, can be supported with elements, IDs, and class. Some of the common jQuery methods included here are val, text, next, submit, and focus. And some of these you'll see in the upcoming assignments beginning in week 1 all the way going through week 7 and week 8. Examples using these methods can be seen here, relating to an email address or an email list, one of which is upcoming. And you have certain event methods that can be used, including the ready handler as well as the click handler, seen here. jQuery is also useful for the document object model, the DOM, and we'll be going over that later on in the course. And coding here supports the event handler for this ready event. Notice that there are 2 ways, a long way and a short way. Terms to become familiar with, again, include content delivery network, method, selector, object chaining, and event method. An example that's covered as a sample in Chapter 1 as well as Chapter 5 include the joining of an email list. and we'll use this email list application as a sample because it's part of our week 1 assignment. So you see here, this is what it normally looks like in a browser, but then you break it down into the HTML code and you can see how jQuery through its .js library is attached to and using the jQuery.com code. And notice that the script source will use email_list JScript or JS. For multiple addresses, which are possible, and more advanced versions can have an email address too that include multiple users that include first and last name. So jQuery code for the email list application seen here can support multiple email addresses. Notice that they include the next and text functions as well as the val, submit, and focus. Selectors that can be used in here are attribute, empty, equal, even, first child, has, and header. And adding these examples in jQuery selectors can be seen here. Other methods include the next, previous, attribute, CSS, add class, or remove class, as well as toggling one, the hide function, the show function, and each function. We can also use an image source as part of our jQuery method and use that related to our source attribute. Later on, from week 2 and week 3, we'll discuss stuff like mouse over, where your ability to put a mouse over a certain part of a piece of code will allow the user to make a selection, which allows us to activate certain event methods, seen here. Certain selections based on the mouse movement can be alerted through notifications like this. The mouse pointer has moved into a certain image element. The mouse pointer has moved out of an image element. This basically confirms that one alert can verify that the mouse over will change in the way the cursor looks once the mouse cursor is over the image element. If it is outside that element, another alert means that it will change the mouse pointer as well. A default method for the click function is included here. And here you have descriptions supporting the event methods of on and off, one, trigger, bind, and unbind. There's a shortcut method for the event handler to an event, seen here. And we can add an event handler to 2 different events, one with the same element or 2 different elements. Removing an event handler from an event can be seen at the top, as well as the ability to add and remove an event handler that only runs once. Trigger methods with a shortcut way. Again, jQuery supports both long and short methods, but it's built to save time. And this pretty much summarizes what we've covered for week 1 in terms of some of the initial jQuery code, including selectors, events, methods, terms, and our first week 1 application.